Now, here's the question that I want to know. And I don't think I'm alone in wanting to know this. And I think this is a very relevant question. And the question is this: how do you know what's a God-sized burden and like a regular burden? How do you know? Well, let me give you two things, two insights. Number one, a God burden will feel like a moral imperative. I have to do this. And you might be resisting. You might be pushing a burden away. No. That's going to take me out of my comfort zone. But it comes back with more intensity. I'm sure you've felt something like that before, where you're like, man, I'm praying about this, but now I got to be the answer to this prayer. That's a moral imperative. But the second insight on the difference between a God-sized burden and just another burden is that a God burden will align to what God is already doing in the world. And so this rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem it all goes back to Genesis 12, where God went to Abraham and said, I'm going to bless you, and you're going to have a people group that doesn't even exist yet. But I'm going to raise up a people group from your descendants, and they're going to be a blessing to all people groups. And so Jerusalem, the city of God, was called to be a light among the nations. And what did we read? It's in great trouble. It's a disgrace. In fact, other nations said, oh my goodness, this is, who would want to follow God? But Jerusalem's a dangerous place. And so Nehemiah, right, he had this moral imperative, but he knew that rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem connects with God's master story of redemption, of His glory, of restoration, of reconciliation. And this is what separates, let's say, moral imperatives, which could be a soapbox. And maybe some of you have a soapbox that you're really passionate about. But when it comes to this insight, you're like, how does it connect to what God is already doing in the world? But if it's a God-sized burden, you'll see, here's the connection to God's redemption, God's reconciliation.